So last night I decided to jump in and start working on this tower. Um, it's such an exciting piece that I couldn't help myself. But in doing so, I ran into a number of issues that I thought I'd share with you. And that way, if you were planning to build one of these yourself, uh, you could learn from what I've done already. Um, the first thing to note is that the floors are troublesome. This is actually not a very simple kit, although it has very few pieces, and the pieces are very straightforward to put together. It's it, it's a lot more difficult than it seems at first glance. The first problem is that the connection points between the walls, where there's it's these interlocking bricks, have a lot of flash. Pretty hefty mold line. Actually, it's not even a flash. It's really a mold line. And I would recommend making sure that you go in there first with an X-Acto blade to knock off the bulk of it, and then with a file perhaps to bring it down even more, and then test fit everything, because before you do that, it won't fit at all. And if you don't do it enough, it'll fit tight, and that may affect the shape of the piece if it's too tight. So you want it to slide together easily. So when you're cleaning it up, keep that in mind. The second thing is, and the second reason why this is difficult, is that your goal when you put this together is to create what is essentially a perfect circle out of 4 curves. And without a guide, that's pretty much impossible to do, because these don't have a definite they don't lock into each other in a definite way. So you want to have a guide, and luckily you kind of have one in this piece, because this circle here corresponds to the inner diameter of each of the floors, or at least of each of the lower floors, not the top, not the tower top. So if you were to take your first 2 wall sections, apply glue to where the walls meet at the brick, and then place those around the inner circle. I'll use these as an example. And place those around sort of like this, and then let the glue set. Then you're going to have the right curve. And then once that's dry, you can add another one. And again, you're following the curve, so you don't have to worry about that. And then you do the last, and you're good to go. And you don't have to worry about whether or not you've gotten the right curvature on the inner diameter, because, and the reason why this matters, is the first floor sits on top of this, so it needs to be able to fit around that, obviously. And that's not a big deal, because you can always kind of force it in there and make the glue do the work. But that's a little less possible with the other floors, because they're pretty light duty. These don't, because they're supposed to be ruined floors, they don't have a lot of contact points, and if you try to really jam the floor into the walls, it's going to break. So you need to have that shape as close as possible from the get-go, and that way you don't have to modify this shape in order to make it fit. So that's the first thing. If you do that right, then and you follow this, use this as a guide, then you're going to be good to go. Now the tower top is another matter. The tower top obviously doesn't fit along this base. It's a lot wider, but luckily it comes with its own floor. And what you can do with this, and what I didn't do, actually what I did was to build the outer walls. I glued the outer walls, and then realized that, I should check the fit, and then I put the floor in and realized that it was all wrong, and I'm trying to juggle all 4 walls and the floor and trying to make everything fit, and that wasn't going to work. What you should do is build the floor, which is 2 parts. right? So you have the two sections here. So you glue that together and let it dry, let it set. Once that's dry, add one wall piece to the floor. And again, make sure that this is all cleaned up and filed and ready to assemble before you do this. But assuming you've done that, so you're going to glue on one wall piece to the floor. The floor actually has a lip that these wall sections sit underneath. So you have a very positive gluing point along the curve there. So you let that set, and when that's dry, then you add another one next to it. And then you're going to glue that along the lip and at the contact point between the two walls. And the nice thing there is that if there's any deformity in the shape, you shouldn't really have any problems working with that because you have this nice gluing point here and you're only dealing with one other gluing point here. And then you just work your way around, and by the time you're done, it should be perfect. Mine has some gaps, and you can see where this doesn't really fit properly, and that was because of the way I did it, which means that now I have to go back and I have to disguise the problems in other ways by filing and filling and doing lots of things that I wouldn't have needed to do if I just built it properly in the first place. But I didn't know, and the instructions really, all the instructions say is to build the outer walls and wrap a rubber band around it while it dries, and that's not going to help. That's really not going to help. So in this case, the instructions aren't really doing their job fully, because if you just follow the instructions, you're going to run into the same problems that I did. Something else that's not in the instructions that I think was mentioned in White Dwarf, but since I don't actually read the magazine anymore and really only just look at the pictures, I didn't know. And that is these pieces here. These are ruined wall sections that you can put in place of the complete wall sections in order to make a more dilapidated tower. It's really neat. I kind of wish that I'd known they were there so that I could have considered using them before I'd gotten 3/4 of the way done with the model. But that's okay. I may do another one in the future. They're pretty cool, and I might do a ruined one. So, but anyway, they're there. Think about them. They're very cool. And that's it. I just wanted to share this little bit with you. This is my kind of work in progress here, and learn from my mistakes. And that's it. I'll talk to you later.